Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Judges, chapter 20, so let's focus on verses 26 through 29. The whole Israelite army went to Bethel, where they wept and they sat before the Lord. They fasted that day until evening, and they offered burnt offerings and fellowship offerings to the Lord. And then the Israelites inquired of the Lord, and in those days the ark of the covenant of God was there, and Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, was serving before it. And the Israelites asked, "Should we again fight against our brothers, the Benjamites, or should we stop?" And the Lord answered, "Fight, because I will hand them over to you tomorrow." So Israel set up an ambush around Gibeah. Judges chapter 20 is an example of righteous indignation. That is, once the Lord ordered Benjamin to be destroyed, the rest of Israel put family relations aside in pursuit of God's will. And this begs the question, have you avoided holding a family member or someone close to you accountable because you don't want to damage the relationship? Well, the truth is, the relationship is already damaged. Avoiding the elephant in the room will only prolong someone's dysfunction. And you should never value a relationship itself more than the well-being of the other person in the relationship. At that point, you're only in the relationship for how it makes you feel. And that's not a relationship, that's codependence. We have learned over the past few chapters, because God has reinforced this idea daily, that the times of the judges were times when people did what was right in their own minds. And in chapter 20, the children of Israel decided to unify and to go to war against their brothers, the tribe of Benjamin. But before they went to war, they sought the Lord, who directed them into battle. The problem arose when, after having sought the Lord and received his direction, Israel was soundly defeated by Benjamin. Men died. And one may ask, well, is that fair? Why did God direct his people into battle and then allow them to lose the battle? Well, perhaps God is drawing Israel into a deeper relationship with him. It's as if the people sought the Lord flippantly the first time and anxiously the second time. But when they approached him from those postures, the Lord answered, "Of course you should fight," because it was the appropriate response to the offense. And yet he did not promise Israel victory over Benjamin until they were truly broken and they recognized their dependence upon him. How do you approach the Lord? From a posture of scarcity, that is, your lack of resources? Or do you operate in a mindset of abundance, recognizing that, hey, you might not have the resources, but God is more than enough resources to accomplish any task or situation that he leads you to? There's one final thing to consider as we exit the outrage in Benjamin with respect to Gibeah. If you read ahead, you will notice that the Lord will choose a Benjamite from Gibeah named Saul to be king over Israel when the people demand a king. Beware of getting what you ask for when you don't ask according to the word of the Lord. 1 Samuel chapter 10, verses 24 through 27. Samuel said to all the people, "Do you see the one whom the Lord has chosen? There is no one like him among the entire population." And all the people shouted, "Long live the king!" And Samuel proclaimed to the people the rights of kingship. He wrote them on a scroll, which he placed in the presence of the Lord. And then Samuel sent all the people away, each to his home. Saul also went back home to Gibeah, and brave men whose hearts God had touched went with him. Well, let's see how this all rolls out in the coming days. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And if you're being ministered to through the Bible teaching of Groundworks Ministries and you'd like to help us to reach this generation with the gospel, would you consider donating to Groundworks Ministries today? Donating is secure and it is easy at our website. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.